This is my third day. Like, I barely even know what I'm doing on the screen. I barely even know half these people's names. I barely even know where to go. I barely even know how to work a headset. I barely even know how to freaking even open up the window. Some of my coworkers got arrested. Some of my coworkers stole from the drawer. Some of my coworkers got into it with customers. Some of my coworkers got guns pulled on them. I worked at the most craziest McDonald's you can ever think of. And I said what I said. Hey Zasters, it's Xavier and I'm back again with yet another YouTube video. If you are not a part of the Xavier family, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share this video to all of your friends and family in order for you to be a part of the Xavier family. This is Xavier doing Xavier things for the Xavier fam, and you guys already know what I'm about to say. If you don't give your all, you can't do it all. Period. So for today's video, it has actually been a very long time, if you have been following me every week, that I'm actually by myself. Like, I'm not outside or like vlogging at a convention, or I don't have like a guest star with me or like my family. Like, it's just me. Wonderful. So as by the title, you can already tell what I'm getting ready to talk about: my experience working at the one and only Cristo LLC. McDonald's, in other words. I'll just be talking about my work experience, my personal experience. This is not to bash the brand or the company or institution. I'm just letting you know how it was for me working at Cristo LLC, period. Let's get right into it. So basically, for those of you that have been following and watching me from like the get-go, if you're like a day one Zaster, you know that I took a break from YouTube and that I started working a job. And I did like this whole like 30-day thing where I posted a new YouTube video every day for 30 days, yada yada yada. And yeah, I talk about this in another video when I'm coming back. Surprise, I'm back, guess who's back? That video, yeah, click up in order to see it. But basically I started working at McDonald's, I want to say around like May, April, around there. And I quit, I want to say in October. So I worked the job for like a good couple of months. And basically the reason why I chose McDonald's outside of all of the other jobs that I applied for and got into, Burger King, Zaxby's, all these other places, is that actually because McDonald's paid more and I was looking for a job right then and there, and a job that would allow me to work as many hours as I needed to, because I was not trying to have a job for long. I just wanted a cute little one too, so I could have this YouTube set up. So it's here, and all of this is funded by the McDonald's check. So, I mean, hello. So I started the job, and my first week was literally the craziest week ever. I come in on my first day, and it's like in the morning, and there was a guy there, we're gonna call him Jay. Jay was basically, was my trainer. I already knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the first booth, like the back booth. That was something that I already knew. So I'm like watching him like take orders and like do different things, and so then like they just like put me in there and they told me to try it, and y'all, I was confused. I was over here like, what am I doing? So about my third day, they have this other manager come in. They have like, there's a department store manager, which is like the head, and then they have like general managers, and then they have shift managers, if that makes sense. So it's department store manager, general managers, and then like shift managers, which manages the shift. So one of the new shift managers, we're gonna call her, we're gonna give her the letter V. So she comes in, and I recognize her voice from when I trained. Now this was a lady that was like yelling, like doing all this, and I was like, oh my god, no, I don't need I was like, I'm not doing second shift because that's when this lady is, and I don't have time to deal with this energy. Little did I know, like, the freaking shift managers, they freaking change their shifts like all the time. So I was like, oh my god, here she is. And she was like, oh, do you know how to do this? And I was like, yeah, like I had like experience with it, but I don't like really know how to do it. Like, this is my first week. She's like, okay, so you're gonna do this and this. And I was like, oh my god, she's asking me to do 2 things at once. Like, what? So basically she had me taking orders and she had me working through like back booth. And it was like my first day. Like, I was still getting a hand, like, in my head, like what was on the screen, like where everything was. So I'm over here like, oh my god. But hello, I raised to the freaking occasion, period. But one of the other managers, we're gonna give her the letter M. She had a problem. She was like, oh, like he's new here, like he don't really know how to do this, that, and the third. And I was like, girl, like what do you know? You don't know me. But then at the same time, I was like, okay, I get what she's saying. Like maybe I'm moving a little slow because I'm like getting the hang of it. And like they are all about these freaking sales and it's freaking tea time and pee time and they are all about that, like the freaking times and all this other stuff. So it's just like, oh no, we need to make it fast and da-da-da. And I'm just like, oh my god. I'm a fast-paced person. Like, I do things very, very fast, so it wasn't that hard for me. But this is my 3rd day. Like, I barely even know what I'm doing on the screen. I barely even know half these people's names. I barely even know where to go. I barely even know how to work a headset. I barely even know how to freaking even open up the window. Barely know how to work the tab. Like, I barely know how to do most of this stuff. But so I get what she was saying. So fast forward, like my first week I'm getting the hang of it. By like my 2nd week I got it. I got everything down, yada yada yada. So throughout my first week they like put me at different stations. Like they had me go in the freezer and get this. They had me at the freaking hash brown thing. No. They had me at the freaking french fry station and like sweeping like ice cream. They tried me at that 2nd window, but that 2nd window is not for me. It is not for me. Giving them people like their food, and then I don't know. It depends on like what McDonald's you work at, but the one that I worked at, oh, also I'm wearing my uniform. But the one that I worked at, like the people were mad, like low-key like rude. Like I will never forget, like at the 2nd window, like this one lady was like, you know, like people look in the back to make sure like that everything's there, but this one lady was like waiting on a drink or something, and so she was like eating her like french fries in the freaking window, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like I'm helping with the drinks. That was another thing they had me do, like drinks. There's a person on drinks. So I was helping with the drinks or whatever, and I'm looking at this lady and she's like eating her french fries. I'm like, why is this lady like opening her mouth, like doing all of this at this window? Like it is not that deep. Like I know you are hungry, but please, you still got other things that you need to get instead of smacking. Like she's like chewing. Like it's different between eating your food in front of people and then like her mouth was wide open. Like, and then she was like, when I tell you I saw this lady taste these fries, spit them back on her hand, and throw them at the window. And she had the nerve to say, oh, my fries are cold, I need some new ones. Like, I get that there's like, people are concerned about their food, but can we not forget that we're at McDonald's? This is not some 5-star like restaurant where everything is perfect, everything is neat, and they have these great reviews. Like, you are at a fast food restaurant, you want your food fast, so therefore, I get that you might be a little angry that your food is cold, but it's nothing to say, oh, my fries are a little bit cold, can I have something else? And then if the worker gives you an attitude, then by all means. But for you to spit your french fries back in your hand and throw them at the window, that's when I knew the 2nd window was not for me. I said, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to deal with people like this. I don't have time for that. When people are missing things out of the bag, they're like, oh, I need this, or I added for this, or I paid for this at the 1st window. First of all, they be trying to finesse you. Well, after they pay, if it's not on that screen, they did not pay for it. And they're like, oh yes, I had this and that, and can I have extra sauce and da da da. We're trying to get the line moving and you're asking for all of this stuff. Like, you're asking, can I add this, da da da. No, you can circle back around. And like in the beginning, I was very polite, but then after that, like after these people's in their energy, like energy is something you feed off of. So if you're giving me bad energy, like there is nothing I can do. I can try my hardest to keep it in, but there's only so much I can take. And once it's back to back to back to back, it was just quite disturbing. So they tried to put me in that 2nd window, but it was not for me. They tried me with drinks. Drinks wasn't really that bad, but I knew the back booth was for me. So they asked me where I wanted to be, and I gladly told them the back booth. I can like play I love the department store manager. Like, he allowed me to play my cute little music. I was like over here being nice to the customers. I didn't have a problem with standing. I was over here, and then when the line got backed up, I was talking to the customers. Like, it was nice, it was cute. I given her money. I knew how to count. I know how to do my math. Oh, let's talk about that. So they put me in back booth. I worked back booth most of the time for like my duration working there. Basically, my duration working there, I'm working back booth. But they always, like, sometimes towards the end of like why I quit was because dance season started getting back and school started getting back, and I'm always a busy person. If you don't know how busy I am, please watch my Instagram. I'm always traveling or doing something, and then school, and then I'm really focused on my academics, so there were just a lot of things that were getting in the way. So my schedule was the one that always changed. Like, a lot of like managers were concerned with why I always had weird hours or why I always had like weird like times, and that was none of their business, because me and the department store manager, we were good friends, and that was none of their business what I was doing in my scheduling. That has nothing to do with them. I don't know why they were concerned. But yeah, so basically, let's get back to this counting thing. So I know how to count. I took AP Stat, I did all this calculus stuff in school. Like, I know how to count change, especially when it pops up on the screen in front of me in big bold letters and it says what your change is. Now, like I told y'all, towards the end of like me quitting, I quit because I got like real busy, and life just kind of like took over, and it was very hard for me to continue to have my job. So there were times where I was doing the Juilliard Summer Intensive, and I had to switch my hours, so I had to work overnight. Y'all, I was crazy. I was working overnight. Like, I think it was like 10 to 6. Yeah, 10 to 6, or like 11 to 7, or 12 to 8, something like that. So I think one day I chose like 10 to 6. So I do overnight. It's like pretty chill. Like, we go like real slow because there's not that many people that are working. It's like 3 or maybe 2 of us, and so we got to do everything ourselves. So we just take like maybe like 2 cards at a time. We keep it cute, and then we close the store at 3 and we call it a day. But overnight we have people coming from the club, and people that are drunk, and people that are high, and people that are just doing all the things that people do at nighttime, losing their minds. Yeah. And this lady comes by, and she's like, you could tell that she was a little bit under the influence, and she was like, hey, like, can I do this, can I do that? I'm like, okay, yeah, like, your change is this is what we're working with here. And so she gives me her money in cash. She gives me her money in cash. And she says, oh, can you like give me exact change? And she gave me some change, right? She gave me some change because she wanted just her dollars. Mind you, we have a shortage, a change shortage. Like, if most of you that have gone to fast food restaurants or stores or grocery shopping, you know that most of these like have a change shortage. So she was like, okay, I'm gonna give you exact change so you can give me the dollars back. So she was a little bit under the influence. I didn't feel like talking to her too much because I already felt a little bit weird about the situation. So she gives me this change, right? And it's not the right change. So I give her her dollars back, and then I give her change because I'm like, oh, you didn't give me the right change. So then she's like, oh, you playing with my money, da 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 da. I'm like, no, this is what you gave me. This is on your receipt. Like, it's right there, ma'am. Like, you see on my screen, like, I put, this is what you gave me. So she's like, no, like, give me my money back, da 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 da. So I have to close the drawer, and get the manager, because she has to open the drawer and da-da-da, and put in her finger and da-da-da, and say yada yada yada. So I go get her, and I'm like, hey, like, this lady like wants da-da-da, exact change, da-da-da. So get her, opens up the drawer, open up the window. I'm like, okay, like, da-da-da, like, this is what I need. So she gives me like, just, she doesn't even count the change. She gives me, I don't even know what she gives me. I don't even remember, but she gave me not the right amount of change, and I'm like, this is not enough. And then she's like, no, you're playing with my money. And she was like getting real loud. And so at this point, she's like, okay, just give me $1, because she gave me 4 quarters. So I give her $1, and she's like, no, I need $2. I'm like, girl, like, do you not know how to count? Like, I mean, like, it's simple, like 1, 2, 3. Like, I get you're under the influence, but please, 4 quarters, $1. Like, you don't need $2. What are you talking about? Like, so Miss Girl wants to say, oh, like, I need $2, da da da. So I have to close the door again. I already closed the drawer because I already gave her her change, and she wants to say she needs $2, and I have to get the manager. At this point, she's yelling like, you really playing with da da da? And this girl is trying to open up the door. open up the little like side screen door. Like, oh, you really playing with my change and my money and da-da-da. I need my money. Like, this is my hard work money. Like, you don't know nothing about this and da-da-da. I'm like, first of all, Miss Girl, you are trying to get food from McDonald's at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Number one. Number two, as you can tell, I'm already a child. Number three, I know how to count. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. They wouldn't have hired me if I did not know how to count. Number four, I don't want my drawers short. So what I'm not going to do is have you like it doesn't make any sense. Like, I need her to think. Like, it was really irking me. So she's like, oh, you don't know nothing about this and money and da-da-da. You want to keep the money for yourself because y'all got da-da-da. Y'all not taking none of my money. I'm like, girl, this has nothing to do with me. Like, I don't want your dollar because your dollar is not going on my check that they give me. Your dollar is not going to my direct deposit that they send to my bank account. What are you talking about, your dollar? So she does all of this and she like almost breaks the window. And she's like, oh, I need to talk to the manager and da-da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And then this girl just throws a fit and then they take like money out of my drawer and they give it to her. And I'm like, oh my God, my drawer is gonna be short. They're like, oh, it's fine, Xavier, we'll give you the money. That's my first like real bad experience with a customer. Whew. So now, y'all, let's get into my coworkers. I personally did not have a problem with any of my coworkers. My coworkers got into fights. Some of my coworkers got arrested. Some of my coworkers stole from the drawer. Some of my coworkers got into it with customers. Physical altercations with customers. Some of my coworkers got guns pulled on them. I worked at the most craziest McDonald's you can ever think of. And I said what I said. Mind you, when I first started working there, I was one of the youngest people that they hired. But I got paid more than most of the people that worked there because I scored in my interview. It's different when you are working in an establishment and you bring a new energy. Like, you bring sophistication, you bring, I don't know, common sense. So we're gonna give this manager name the letter R. She would always want me to do more than what is needed. She would always be on the headset yelling in the ear and I'm like, girl, I can't even hear what these people are trying to say. So that was my first problem with her. My second problem with her was that she was always in somebody's business. Like, please, they were there like, oh, did you hear about da-da-da? None of my concern. And for me, it was never that deep, so I didn't tell them anything that I was doing. Nothing. They didn't even know the day I was quitting. Now we're gonna move on to, we're gonna give this manager name the letter B. Now he was like, oh, you're not moving fast enough today. Like, I just want you to be the best of the best. What are you talking about? Every other manager knows that I do my stuff back here, and when I walk in the door, they're like, oh, you're going into back booth. Because they know that I do that and I do it well. You're talking about some, I'm not moving fast enough, da-da-da-da. But when you put a girl in back booth that's doing the same thing that I'm doing, moving slower, oh, it's okay. Do you want a drink? Do you want this? Do you want that? And then every single time I had him as a manager, something was always wrong with my drawer. He would be like, oh, you took a fake 20 or your drawer is $20 short. My drawer is $20 short. Dude, what do I look like taking $20 out of this drawer? You know, half of these people give me their change just because they're like, oh my God, like, you look, well, this one lady, one of these customers was like, oh my God, you're so good looking, like you're so like put together, like your hair is nice, like you came to work, you were really nice over the intercom, and you're just such a nice person. Like, what are you doing working here? I was like, this is just part-time. Like, and they asked me like what I do, and I told them like, you know, I was a dancer and I, you know, do YouTube and da-da-da. And that's what most of the customers say. So you're gonna sit here and you're gonna tell me that I gave one of these customers $20 or I took it and stole it for myself. Make it make sense. Because every other manager was like, oh, Xavier, your drawer is over. Oh, Xavier, your drawer is over. When someone's drawer was short, they knew who to put to put in back booths because they knew who would get the tips, and I'll be like, oh, it's okay, I'll fix the drawer. He always favored girls. He always would give me a hard time if I looked at him, and he'd be like, oh, what are you doing, da da da, like I'm not with that. Like I'm like, boy, like you are. There was an instance where someone stole from the drawer. One of my coworkers, he stole from the drawer and got arrested. One of my good friends, KS, she had a gun pulled on her. Long story short, the man ordered a quarter pounder. Quarter pounder beef is it takes a longer time to cook than like regular like Big Mac, like Big McDoubles. Like that meat is easier and takes a short amount of time to cook than quarter pounder beef. So he had a quarter pounder. He saw other people like go by. Mind you, my McDonald's is like real ghetto. So you got all the little ghetto people coming up in here. And he like pulled a gun on her and he was like, oh, you're playing with me. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that this happened until she told me. So that was another instance that happened. There's a lot of like intertwined things going on with like coworkers. Like some of them are married, having affairs. It was just too much going on for me. I was like, I don't know how y'all work in this. Like, first of all of you are older than me. Number one. Number two, y'all are having like relationships here. Like there's so much more to life. Like that's when I knew that like working fast food or working a job period was not for me. I love doing what I do. I love making money from sitting in front of this screen and just talking about story times in my life. I love making money from like talking about different brands and different stuff that I've done. I love making money that way. I don't like making money for the other man that owns stuff. I do not like being anyone's worker. I realized that, and that job taught me a lot. I'm very grateful for that job, because if it was not for that job, I would not have this setup that I have right now. I would not have learned the things that I've learned and the things that I don't want to do, and I wouldn't have the drive that I have to push this content out to you so I don't end up in that predicament. Because it was just a lot of things going on. Like people had like their baby daddies pulling up to the job, saying they're not the father of their children. It was like, what? I was like, what is going on here? Some of their hygiene was just all over the place. Like I swear, like some of them like didn't even brush their teeth, and I was just like, oh my God, you're in my face, get away. And I had on a mask. I was like, oh my God, I can smell your breath through my mask, get away. It was just craziness. And then I was like, I can see why he hired me and paid me more, because he was like, oh, I need him to stay, because what the heck is going on? These people are crazy. Like looking back on it, these people were insane. Like what? Some of them have been there for 17, 18 years. I was like, y'all have been working at this McDonald's longer than I have been born. Are you kidding me? Like it was such an eye-opener. Like I saw people struggling like with money, like relationships, and like it was like crazy. Like just to hear and see the things that happened at that McDonald's and the people I was working with, just to hear like how much they were making an hour and where they used it and how they spent their money on their hair. And then sometimes their hair would look like I don't even know what in the world happened, Lord knows what, because I was confused. Just to hear about like them getting in, having problems with cars and insurance and house and like debt and trying to get things and like materialistic things and focused on relationships. I was like, oh my God. Like me being this young, I know that there's so much more to life, but y'all, they were just already trapped in like, oh, this is just how life is. Like I'm just gonna have to work here and da-da-da. I've been working here so long and da-da-da. I'm like, oh no. I need to get out of here, and I need to get out of here now, because what I will not have is these people polluting my mind. I'm very glad and grateful for my experience, because it taught me, it pushed me a lot harder. I'm glad that experience didn't like succumb me, if that makes sense. Like it didn't trap me in the ideology of what all these other people were thinking. It pushed me harder to get out of it and to realize that I need to never be in that predicament again. Because the thing is, like, I got a job because I wanted a brand new YouTube setup. I knew that I had the time to work a job. I knew that I could get things that I always said that I wanted, and just to up my game. I didn't need it. I could have waited until like Christmas to like get a YouTube setup or have my parents pay for it or something. But I was like, oh, I need this now. Like I'm getting older. Like this is something that I need to like, you know, do for myself. Like I need to realize how much, you know, to put into having a bank account and managing my money and savings and checking and where my money is going, or how much I want to spend that month, or how much my check is going to be and what I want to get, and strategically planning. Because what a lot of people don't know is that a lot of the money that I have not spent like, I want to say like I haven't spent over $100 on clothes or shoes or nothing materialistic. I spent, yeah, less than $100. Most of it went to YouTube and other things that I'm working on. It just taught me a lot. It was like, I don't want to do this. I don't have time for this. I don't want to this is not, I don't want my brand to be like this. What a lot of people realize is that you yourself are a brand, and I cannot brand myself looking like this. If you were to work at my McDonald's, I would say go in there with like, you know, a passion or something bigger than just like getting a job and like, you know, getting shoes or tattoos or something, because a lot of them still have those jobs now, because like even with school and them like doing all this other stuff, like they still have the job now because they want the materialistic things. Like the materialistic things didn't really matter to me. It's more of the things that are like long term, if that makes sense, like things that are going to continue to make me money after I'm done, because I don't want a job like that where I'm working under somebody else forever. Like, I'm a very independent person, so I want to work for myself. And that was pretty much my experience working at McDonald's. That was me exposing McDonald's. If you want a video about like the perks or like, you know, like the coupons or like how things work behind the scenes in order to get like good details and all that other stuff, just drop it down in the comments below. I won't be afraid to make that video just to let y'all know what's getting ready, what's cooking, what's crack-a-lacking, how to get your perks working at McDonald's or yada yada yada. But yeah, that's basically all I have for this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share this video to all of your friends and family in order for you to be part of Xavier fam. This is Xavier doing Xavier things for the Xavier fam, and you guys already know what I'm about to say. If you don't give your all, you can't do it all. Period. Bye, Zasters.